Hello everyone.
Today we are diving into Flutter to build a sleek expense tracker app. It's going to be both functional and good looking. We'll be covering everything from expense tracking to insightful analysis. This app is designed to make your managing your finance a breeze. Plus, we have put extra care into making sure it's user-friendly and visually appealing. Stick around because I'll be sharing some neat tricks to make your app stand out. So let's jump in and start crafting this together.
What we have so far in the project is just simply a Mento Dart, and here we have a home page. Here, as you can see, we have a simple set list widget, and here we have a column. Inside it we have a row, which here we have three widgets of the fund condition, which I have already created them. As you can see here, we have three parameters: the type, the amount, and also the icon. And these are actually these widgets at the top of the page. So I will discuss about all of this later on, so you don't need to worry about it. Also, here we have this container inside of an expanded widget, which here I want to show all the items. So let's just start, and the first thing that I want to do is to create an app bar. So I will come here in the scaffold, and here I can just create the app bar, and the title is going to be a text, which I will just write expense tracker. I will also change the background color to red, and I will center the title, and also I would just like to make the elevation equal to 0, and I think it looks much better. And this is what we have so far. Right now, when we are clicking on this floating action button, we just want to show a dialog, which we already do it, but right now we are just returning a size box, and here I want to return an other dialog, with there I can write all the stuff I need. So let's just work on this. Inside the size box I can have a child, and here I want to have the child to be the other dialog, and it has a title, which here I will just call it add transaction. Also it has actions, and in the actions property I need to have two buttons, one for the cancel and one for the add. So let's just create two text buttons here, and it has an unpressed and also a child, which in this case it's going to be a text, which I will just call it add. I will later on also change the text style, but for now it will be okay. I will just copy and paste it one more time, and in the second I will just call it cancel, and right now as you can see it looks like this. So let's also create some more stuff, and we need to create three text fields here. The first one is for the entering the item, the next one for the amount, and also we need to create a text field for picking the date. So let's work on it. When we get out of the actions property, here I can just create the content, and here I want to first create a size box, which it will have a height of 400 and also a width of 350. Then in the child property I can just create a column, and inside this column I will create my first text field. So this text field is going to be for entering the item. First I will give it a decoration, which is a type input decoration, and it can have a hint text, which I will call it just enter the item. I will also need to create a border radius for it. So in this case it will be the enabled border, and it's going to be just outline input border, and I will just leave it empty. I just need to create one more of this text field, so I will just copy and paste it one more time, and here it's going to be enter the amount. And also this text fields need a controller, so let's just create them. First let's change the stateless widget into a stateful widget, and then I will just create the first controller, which is going to be item controller, and it is a type of text editing controller. So let's just copy and paste it one more time, because the next one is going to be the amount controller, and I will just take it and paste it into the first text field in the property called controller. And also the second text fields also need a controller, which is going to be the amount controller. That's all right. I will also put a size box between them with a height of 8. Let's see how it looks like, and it looks like this, and I think it's beautiful. So right now I just need to create the third text field, which is going to be for picking the date, and in this text field we can enter the amount, but in that text field we are not able to enter any amount, and we just want to pick the date for it. So let's just create the next text field. It will also have a controller, so let's just create the third controller, which is going to be the date controller. I can just copy it and paste it in the controller for the third text field. It also needs to be only read only because we don't want the user to enter any amount inside it. Now I just need to change the decoration, which is going to be the type input decoration, and here the first thing I need to change is the enabled border, which is going to be the outline input border, and also the border side is going to be the type border side. And here I just want to change the color, which is going to be the color of gray. Let's just put some commas here, and then I can just copy and paste it one more time because I also want to have a focus border, and in this case the color will be blue. So let's see how it looks like, and it's like this. So I also need to add some more stuff here. First, let's put a size box here, and I will give it a height of 10. Then I also need to have a prefix icon here, and this icon is going to be called calendar today. I also need to give it a prefix icon color, which I will give it a color of blue, and I think it looks much better right now. Let's check. Yeah, it looks much better right now, and when we click it, as you can see, the color of the border will be changed. I think it looks really nice. Now I will just need to work on the logic to pick date from here, and we can just use a method from the Flutter SDK, which is called showDatePicker. I think it will be such a thing. So let's just work on it. In the third text field, which is for picking the date, it has a property called onTap, and here will be when this text field is tapped, I just want to call the method showDatePicker. And as you can see, it has some required parameters: the context, and also the initial date, the first date, and also the last date. So the initial date is going to be just datetime.now, just this year is going to be the initial date, and also the first date, which is going to be datetime and the year 2000, and also the last date I want to put the year 2100. I think it's better. Also, you have to make this method asynchronous and also await it. So right now the result of this method is going to be a datetime, and I will put it inside a variable called pickDate, and I will put it in this state. So let's just copy it, and here in the top of this state I can just create a variable which is a type datetime, and also it should be nullable, and I will just call it pickDate. Yeah, right now we have this date. Also, I need to change it to a type of string because we need to put it inside the date controller. So for doing it, you can use a package called intl, which I have already installed this package, and you can use this package to change the date time to a string. So right now I can just write a string, and it's going to be, I will call it converted date, and then I can use the date format, which it comes from the package that I told you. I just use this one, which is YMMMD, which it will give us a really nice format of the date. And here I can just put the pick date instead of the date. I will just put the pick date and make sure it's not null. So right now I also have the converted date, and after that I just need to put it inside the date controller. So I will just put it inside here, and right now I just need to do a set asset. So now let's do a hard restart, and let's see how it looks like and how it's work. Now when I click here, a window will pop up. Here we have the three text fields: the enter the item, enter the amount, and also here we can pick the date. So I will pick the date date, and when I hit OK, we can see that it appears here. So it's working and it's nice. Also, whenever we are trying to add a transaction, we need to choose between the income or expense, because every transaction is an income or also an expense, and we can do it using the radio menu buttons, and we will put them right here. So let's just do it. Inside the column I can just create a radio menu button, and as you can see it has 4 required parameters: the value, the group value, the unchanged, and child. And as I'm working, you will see that how it is working. I need to create a list in this position. I can just create a list, and it is going to be the type of string, and I will just call it options, which it will be equal to a list which has 2 items, and the first one is the expense, and also the next one is going to be the income. Now I also need a current option variable right here, so I will create a string and I will call it current option, which is going to be equal to the first option that we have in this list. So I will just write options, and it's going to be the first index. So now we have a list of options with expense and income, and also I have a current option which is going to be the first option. So now I can just go there, and here value is going to be the options, and it's going to be the first index, and the group value is going to be the current option. And also we have an unchanged, which here I have the first one is the expense, and also the child, which is going to be a text of expense. Yeah, it is done. Now I can just copy and paste it one more time, and this time it's going to be the income, and here I will just change it to income, and also it's going to be the second item, which is going to be the index number 1. So right now, whenever this unchanged on the first radio menu button is happening, I can just write that the expense should go inside the current option. So I will write the current option is equal to expense dot toString, because it is a type of string. And also whenever this unchanged is happening, I just want to the current option to the income to go to the inside the current option. So I can just write income dot toString, and yeah, that is nice. So now I can just do a hard restart, and I will see how it looks like. Now when I tap the floating action button, you will see that yeah, it is here, and we have one expense button and also one income, and we can choose between these two. So right now I can enter an item, I can enter the amount, I can then choose the date, for example the date 20 October of Friday, and then I have this option that it is an expense or it is an income. So when it is done, I can just hit the add button. Now let's create simply the real and actual item widget that you want to show in the screen. So for doing it, I need to create a new file, which I will call it just item.dart. And here I can create my actual item which I want to show in the screen. So let's just create an stateless widget, and I will call it item. Here I just create a container, and inside it we have a child which is going to be a row, and this row has some properties. But before that, let's give a better UI to our container. Here I will give it a decoration, and in the box decoration I can give it a border radius, and I will give it a border radius dot all and radius dot circular, and I will give it a radius of 12, and I think it looks good. Also here I want to give it a box shadow, which here it needs a list of box shadows. So here I just need to give it a blur radius, which I will give it 4, and I think it looks much nice. Let's also make it const. So here inside the child I can have here the first child of this row is going to be an image, which is going to be image.asset, and here it's going to be images. And as you can see, I have already an images folder in my project, and I have some assets here which I'm going to use, and I have 2 images, expense, which is this one, and also income, which is going to be this. So whenever I'm adding an income, I will use this image, and whenever I'm adding an expense, I'm going to use this image. So you can just I will put the link in the description, and you can download all these images. So now I can use this one, and for now I will just use the income. Later on I will make it dynamic, so I can just say images and then income.png, and I will also change the size. So I will put it inside a size box, which I will give it a height and a width, a height of 25 and also a width of 25. I hope it's completely fit. So now before that I complete this item widget, I want to put it inside a listview.builder that I can just see how it looks like. So let's go to the home page, and here I need to create a list. Right here I will create a list, and it's going to be I will call it for now items, and here we have an empty list. So later on I will create a model, and I will make it completely dynamic, that we can show all of them. Or maybe I will do it right now. So I can just go ahead and create a model here. So I will just call it expense model. So right now I have a class, and I will call it expense model, and it's gonna have it will have 4 variables or fields, and it's gonna be, the first one is item, which is a type string. The next one is also a type of a string, which is going to be the amount. Actually it's not a string, it is an integer, right? And the next one is going to be a type of date time, which is a date. And also I want to have a boolean, which is going to be is income. So whenever I'm adding a new transaction, I want to know whether it is an income or it is an expense. So I can now just generate the constructor for this, and then so now I have the constructor, and then I can use this model. So now let's get back to the item widget, and here in the home page I have a list of items, and here I just need to add some expense model. So I will just create some expense model. I just need to provide the item and right now I will just put it a hard code. So the first item I will just put a computer. The amount is going to be 1000. The date is going to be datetime.now, and also as income is going to be true. So this is our first item, and I'm gonna just put it inside a listview.builder. So let's just go here, and here, as I already have a comment that I should show the items here, so I will just remove this container, and instead I will use a listview.builder. And here I can return, actually, so let's here we have the item builder, and before that I can have an item count, which is going to be the items dot length. So as much item that we have, as we will have that much items right here in the listview.builder. So now what I have to return here is going to be an item widget. So let's just return the item widget, and let's see how it looks like till now. Yeah, we have this here, but of course it's not really looking nice, so I have to change it, and I have to give it a white color. Let's also minimize the VS Code that I can see it properly here. So now, yeah, now we can see it right here. And let's do a hard restart. Now let's go to the item widget, and here first of all I want to change the color of this container, and I will give it a color of white, which I think it looks nice. Yeah, as you can see it looks really nice. And I will also give it a height of 35, and also I should make it a little longer, so I will give it a height of 50. Yeah, I think it looks much better. And also I need to give a padding to this container, so I will give it a padding from all the sides, and I will give it a padding of 6 from all sides. I think it will give it, it will make it more beautiful. And also when I come here, I just want to make it more beautiful, so I can just give it a, I can increase the height of this size box right here, so I will give it a size box of 6.8, and it will give it a more distance between this item and the top of the page, so it will be more beautiful. Now let's continue with it. So let's go to the item widget, and here the first thing I will do is to increase the size of image. In the image I have a height property which I will give it a height of 30 and also a width of 30. Yeah, it's much better. And also I can give a padding to this container, so I will give it a padding from the all side, and I will give it a padding of 9 to make it bigger. Now I need to create the item and also the date and also the amount here in the item. So after this image, here I can create a column, and here I will create a text. I will give it a text of Flutter, for example, and I will also change the text style, which I will give it a text style with a font size of 20, and also I will change the font weight, and I will give it a font weight of W500. I think it's better. And I will also create another text which it's going to be for the showing the date. So for now let's just write October 2023, and I will also change the text style of this one, and I will give it a color of blue gray. And for now I will hit OK. As you can see, it looks like this. So first I need to come here in the column and change the cross axis alignment to start. And then I need to give it a size box right here with a weight of, I think, 8, or I will make it 11. Yeah, that looks nice. I also need to give a size box between these two texts, which I think it will make it more beautiful. So I will give it a size box with a height of 2 between these two texts, and it will be much better. And at the end of the row and outside of the column, I can create the amount, which it also needs a text, which, for example, I will write, for example, $30. I also need to change the style, which I will give it a text style of with a font size of 21. And also I will change the color, which I will give it the color of green for now, but later on I will change the color, and it's going to be, the color will depend according to the being expense or income. If it is an income, I will give it a color of blue, green, but if it is expense, I will give it a color of red. So I will change it later on. You don't need to worry about it right now. I also need to give this row a main axis alignment of space between. So let's come here in the row, and here in the main axis alignment, it's going to be a space between. Not a space between. I should not do this. I just need to give it a spacer. Yeah, I think it's a better choice. So after this column, I can just create a spacer, and right now this amount is at the right side of the page. So let's also change the font weight, and it should be bold. So let's just make it bold. And right now I also need to change the font size to 22, and right now it looks much better. So I think it's perfect now, and we need to right now make it more dynamic, because right now it is all the hard code, the amount, the date, and also the image, it's just hard code, but I will make it dynamic right now. So for doing this, I just need to have some properties here, and I need an expense model, and I will just call it expense model. Now I just need to generate constructor for it, and right now instead of just this hard codes, I can use an expense model. So let's just write here, and instead of Flutter right here, I can just write expense model dot item, and then instead of this hard code date, I can just use this date, and I will change it to a string for now. And instead of this amount, I can use the expense model dot amount. Yeah, I think it's nice. Let's give some const here that we can get rid of this blue warnings. So yeah, that is completely okay. And also I need to change the color according to his income. So right here in the child for this, I will also come here in the color of this amount, and if it is expense, if it is an income, I want it to be green, but if it is not and it is an expense, I want it to be red color. So I will give it a color of red. So let's remove this cons, and now it's perfect and it's working. So now let's go to the home page, because here we have some errors, and I need to provide this expense model right here. So now that I have to provide this expense model, I can use the list that I have already created here. As you can see, it is right here, this list of items, which here I have for now a hard coded of expense model, but later on I can add an expense model right here. So let's get back here, and here I can just use the items list, and I will use the index. As you know, and you're familiar with listview.builder, I can use the index here to show all the items right here. And if you really don't know how to use this listview.builder, I have already a video which I will put the link in the description, and also you can click on that and watch that video to see how listview.builder is working. So now it is appearing here, and it is a computer with this date and this amount which we had in the list, and it is working. We have just only a simple problem that right now this date is not really looking very nice, so I have to change it to a real date that we can understand what it is. So let's go to the item. It's right here, and here I need to give it a real date, and for doing it I can just go and import the intl, which I have already talked to you about it, and then I will come here to the expense.date.toString. I don't need to use toString anymore. I will just copy this expense model.date, and then I can use the date format dot, and then I will use the YMMD. I think it is the best method that you can use, and then I will use the format, and then I can format this date. And right now you will see that it looks much better, October 19, 2023. So you can use it to have the real date. So the next step that we want to do is to just add the item inside the list, and by doing it we can add as many transactions that we want. As you can see here, we have the list in the home page, and it is right here. So in this list I want to add as many items as I want whenever this add button is pressed in the dialog. So let's just find this add button, yeah, right here inside the other dialog. Whenever this add button is pressed, I want to add a new expense model inside this list. So I will just say items, and then I will call the add method that I can add a new value and item inside this list, and this value is going to be the type expense model. So what are we going to add here? Let's just put some comments here that it looks better. We should add the item, the amount, and the date, and also the income, and we will do that all by this controllers that we have already created them here. So I can use this item controller, the amount controller, and also the date controller to give value for all these properties. So the first one is going to be the item, which I will use the item controller.text, the amount will be the amount controller.text. It says that the argument type string can be assigned to the parameter type integer because this controller is a type string, but this expense model is type integer. So we have to change it, and I need to just change it to a type of integer. I can just use the int.parse, and here I can just put the amount controller.text. Yeah, now I can use this converted amount instead of this amount controller. Also, I need to use a date, which here I can just use the picked date. You can use this one, or also you can use just the date controller.text. I don't think it's a problem, but the argument type string can be assigned to we have exactly the same problem, but I already have this picked date, which is a type date time, so I think I can use this picked date. So I will just paste it here. And what is the problem? Yeah, I just need to put a exclamation mark right here because it is nullable. And also I have the is income, which I should also provide it, but for now I will just put it true for now, but I will change it later on. So right now, when it is finished, I can just do a steady set here that we can see what the changes are. So now let's do a hard restart, and you will see how it looks like. So right now, when I tap the floating action button, I can enter an item. For example, it's going to be mobile. The amount is going to be 100. The date is going to be 10th October, and then I add this button, and as you can see, it is added to this list and we can see it. I also need to put a navigator.pop whenever we add this item. Before the set, I just do a navigator.pop. I just need to provide the context here. I also need to do a navigator.pop whenever the cancel button is pressed. So right now, let's try it one more time. I also need to change the border here, so let's also change that one for the item and also the amount. So the focused border, it needs to be also an outline input border. I will exactly do the same for the amount. I think right now it will be much better. Yeah, right now it is better. And also, when we are adding the item, I need to clear all this item, amount, date, and everything. So let's do that as well. So whenever we add the item and we navigate that back, I just need to remove and clear everything. So I will clear the item controller dot clear. I will do the same for the amount controller and also the date controller. Okay, now it is done and it will be much better. Let's do a hard restart and let's try it once again. Now when I hit here, I can enter the item, for example, bread. The item, the amount will be 10, the date will be maybe 10th October, and then when I add the button, add the item, you can see that it is added right here. So it is working. Now I also want to work on the deleting the item. For example, when I click on the item, I want to delete. I want first a window pop up and ask me that whether you want to delete that item, and then if I press yes, I want to delete, it should be deleted. So let's work on this one as well, and I will do that right here. In the listview.builder, we have an item widget, so I can do it here. I just need to wrap it with a showDatePicker, and here on the on top property, I can just delete whatever I want. So here I can just write, we have a list of items, and here I can remove a value, and the value that I want to remove is going to be the items in the exact index that I want. So it will remove the item that you click, and after that I just want to do a set, and now when I click it, you can see that it is being removed, but I don't want it to remove like this. Before removing, I wanted to have a dialog. First, a dialog should pop up and ask me whether I really want to delete it or not. So let's just cut this stuff, and then I will write a show dialog here, and here I can just use this, and then I will just return a simple or I will return other dialog, and here it has a title which says confirm to delete the item, and then it have actions property which we need to provide two text buttons right here. It has unpressed and also the child which says delete. Okay, I also need to copy and paste it one more time, and the second one will be cancel. Yeah, so I deleted everything, so I need to write it one more time. I just need to go to the items list, and here I just need to remove the items in the exact index that I wanted to be removed, and then I just need to do a set. Okay, that's it. And now when I do a hard restart, you will see that how it looks like. First, I will add a new item here. For example, I will add mobile once again. The amount will be $1,000. The date, for example, will be 7th October, and then when I add it, it is added here. And when I press on this item, a dialog will pop up and ask me to confirm to delete the item, and if I say delete, that will be deleted. So it is working. I just need to navigate back when it is deleted. So I will just say navigator.pop, and I want to navigate.pop whenever it is done, and also I will paste it the cancel unpressed. So right now we have gone most of the way and everything is working. I can also delete this button. When I say delete, it will be deleted. So the last step that is remaining is that we have to work on these widgets right here: deposit, expense, and income. Whenever we are adding a new income, this one should increase. Whenever we are doing an expense, this should increase. And also we have the deposit, that it will give us a balance of how much we have expense and how much have we income. So we will work on all of this. The last step that I need to work on is this widgets at the top of the page. As you can see here, we have a widget for deposit, for expense, and also one for the income. And when we are adding a new transaction, if it is an income, I have to increase the income, and if it is an expense, I have to increase the expense. So when we are increasing the income, the deposit also increase, and when we are increasing the expense, the deposit should decrease. So this is the logic that I have to create, but for now it is just the hard coded and I have to make it dynamic. So let's just work on this. And before I work on that part, I need to change something. And here that I'm adding a new transaction. As you can see, the is income is always equal to true, but we don't want this, because if it is income, we should make it equal to income, and if it is expense, we should make it expense. So let's just do it. All I need to do is to just go to the current option, which I have this variable right here, and it is our radio menu button. So if the current option is equal to income, in this case the is income, in this case is income will be equal to true, but if it is not the case, in this case it will be equal to false. And also I just want to take all this expense model and I will put it right here, and I just want to put it inside a new variable, which I will call it expense model. I just need to take this converted amount and I have to put it before this one. So it is alright. I just need to take this expense model and put it right here, and this will help us to work on this logic of adding the income, expense, and also the deposit. So now I need to create one variable for each of these widgets that I have here. So let's create one variable for deposit, one for expense, and one for income, and all of them are going to be integer. So the first one is called deposit, which will be to 0 initially, and the next one will be for the expense, which I will call it not expense, I will call it spend money, and it is also equal to 0. And the next one will be income, which it will be initially equal to 0 as well. So now let's put this variables right here, that for now it is just hard-coded, but for now it will be a real variable, not just a hard-coded. And as you can see, the first one should be expense, which I will call it expend money, and this one is income, and also this one is for deposit. So it is all right. Now let's just work on the logic of it. So whenever we are adding a new transaction, and after that I added it, I have to check that if the transaction that I have added, this expense model, if it is an income. So we say expense model dot as income. If it was an income, I have to increase the income. So what I do is just go to the income variable, and then I have to say plus equal to the expense model dot amount. So actually what I'm doing is just putting all the amount that we have on this expense model that we added, and I will just put it equal to this income. And I have to do the same for the deposit, and I will say expense model dot amount. It's all right, and then you have to do a set. And if the expense model is not income, so we have else. In this case, so if it is not income, of course it will be the expense, and in this case what I have to do is to just increase the expense. So in this case I will go to the spent money, and I will say that the expense model dot amount. So right now we are just increasing the expend money, and in this case I have to decrease the deposit. So I will just go to the deposit variable, and in this case I will minus whatever value we have from the deposit variable, and again I have to do a set. So that's all right. And now I have to do the same for when we are deleting a transaction. So let's go to bottom of the page, right here, that I'm deleting a new item. So actually I can just take this items.index. This is actually the thing that I want to delete, so I can just call it final expense model, and it will be equal to this. So right now this is what I need, this expense model, and this is what we're deleting. And before I delete this expense model, I can once again check. So maybe I can just copy and paste that one, I don't know. I will just write expense model dot is income. So basically we are checking if the expense model, if it is an income in this case. So if the expense model that we want to delete, if that is an income in this case, I need to minus that income from the income variable. So I will just go to the income variable, and this I will just minus that value from the income. So I go to the expense model dot amount. I don't know what's wrong here. Yeah, now it is completely all right. I just needed to change this to expense model. I have to just make it clear. Okay, so whenever we're deleting a transaction, which is of course income, in this case we need to minus that amount from the income. And of course you have to do the same for the deposit. So I will just go to the deposit variable, and I will decrease the value from it. So once again, the expense model dot amount, I have to do this, and of course I have to do a status at the end. And once again, if it is not the case, and in this case it is an expense, in this case I have to decrease the expense one. So I will go to the spend money variable, and I have to decrease the amount from the variable, and I will go to the expense model and the amount, and I have to do the same for the deposit, but in this case I have to increase amount here, right? So I will say I have to increase amount for this variable and amount. I think that will be completely all right. So I'm gonna tell you once more about it. Right now that we are deleting, if the transaction that we want to delete, it is an income, in this case I need to decrease the amount that we are deleting from the income variable, and also I have to do it from the deposit because we are deleting a transaction. And if it is not the case, it means that we are deleting an expense. In this case I need to minus that amount from the spent money because we are deleting an expense, and of course we have to increase the amount of deposit because we are deleting an expense. So at the end I just do a set asset once again, and now I just need to delete this set asset as well. And of course I will need to delete this set asset as well. So now we'll check if it is working or not. So let's do a hard restart. Now let's check it. So I will add a new item and I will call it mobile. The amount will be $500. I will choose a date, for example 28, and then it's gonna be an expense. Okay, and when I add, as you can see, yeah, it is adding. So we added a new expense. It is $500. So right now the expense increased to $500 and the deposit is minus $500. So now if I go ahead and add a new income, for example I call it new project, the amount will be $2,000, and then I choose a date for it, like today's date, and then I'll say that it is an income. So I choose income, and now when I hit add, as you can see I added this new, it is an income, it is $2,000, and now the income variable increased to $2,000, and as you can see the expense is the same value, and the deposit become plus $1,500. And the reason is that we have an expense with $500 and it made that minus $500, but we later on added $2,000, so it became $1,500